Hello and welcome to GreenFleet Talks. My name is Kate Armitage. I'm your host for our discussion, and I'm delighted to be joined once again by Rosario Sirachi, who is EV charging specialist, fleet and workplace at Drax Energy Solutions. Hi, Rosario.
Hi, Kate.
Good to see you again. We spoke not that long ago, but you're here for a special reason today, aren't you?
I am indeed, yeah.
The dust has just settled on the 5th EV Explorer Rally. There were 50 vehicles covering 1,000 miles, 18 checkpoints across the north, south, east and west of England. And Rosario, you were lucky enough to be part of this fantastic event.
I definitely was, and enjoyed it as much as I did last year, although I did less days, and that might be why I enjoyed it.
The fatigue didn't have time to set in.
Yeah,
Rosario, tell us about Team Drax. Who was driving? What vehicles were you in? And give our audience a flavour of what they could expect from the rally.
So we had a mixture of drivers across the organisation this year. So we had myself, Naomi Nye, and Kevin Ledger from the EV sales team. And we also had Jeff Dawson was the head of our product and innovation. We had the head of strategic supply sales, Chris Musgrave, and then we had Nick Gerald, Tim Cole, and Chelsea Williams, who were from our marketing team. And this time, actually, rather than just organising the event on our behalf, actually took part, which was great. We had a mixture of vehicles as well. So Naomi had a Tesla Model 3, and for the days that I joined, I was driving the BMW iX1, so a bit more of an SUV, which was great. But also, along with the sort of mixture of people within the organisation, we had a different experience level of driving EVs as well. So we had lots of people who had driven EVs for many years, through to Chelsea, who drove an EV for the first time on the rally. So that was quite fun as well.
Great. And was everyone? Let's talk about Chelsea. Was she apprehensive? Did she have any concerns, and were they allayed, I suppose?
So, she absolutely loved it, and is definitely a convert. And her feedback following that drive was that her next vehicle could definitely be an EV, which is great, and I guess is part and parcel of the experience of what we try to get out when we're talking to people who haven't experienced it before is just sit in one, drive one, take it out on the road, and actually get an understanding of what can be achieved with these vehicles. Because in most opportunities, kind of the feedback that we get or I get once somebody's actually had the opportunity to drive it, is that there's no reason why they couldn't make that switch.
Great. Okay, and this is what I like to hear. We're converting the UK driving public, one person at a time, through the EV rally. May take a while, but we are getting there. And I mentioned at the beginning that there were 18 checkpoints across the 5 days. The checkpoints are varied, but I think a lot of this is about showcasing the best, not only of EV charging and of electric vehicles themselves, but also the energy system. And I think you took in quite a few clean energy projects throughout the rally. What was your highlight?
So, as I said, I only took part in a couple of days, so I didn't see all of the clean energy projects. I think the feedback that I kind of got from the wider team who did the earlier part of the week was that the Dawson Vans checkpoint was really impressive. The kind of scale of the project that they've got there was kind of a talking point amongst the group, that was for sure. For me, I think the 3TI sort of solar carport was a highlight. I love seeing the ingenuity that there is in the industry. clever ways that organisations are coming up with to solve issues, and their solution to be able to add solar and EV charging on a site without any major installation works being needed was really impressive to kind of to actually see. And the vehicles actually used that as an opportunity to top up and charge their vehicles. So it was great to actually see it live and working as well.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's solar carports. If you go to the south of Europe, like everywhere, but it's not so much a thing here at the moment. But it is a great way, isn't it, to install solar without it being invasive on the surrounding area, and not least, I mean, EV drivers for a long time have been saying, why can't I have a canopy like you have when you go to a petrol station? There was always this little bit of disparity there.
Yeah, I think what that solution in particular that was particularly impressive is that it's kind of in a container. It can be brought to a site. So if there's an organisation that is leasing their building, so therefore they don't have permission to actually do groundworks on that site, it's just another great way of being able to support those organisations with getting EV charging for their fleet or their staff. But then that actually sort of overrides any potential issues that they might have with their landlord. So it's just I just thought it was really clever and a clever idea, and enjoyed seeing how it all works.
And probably not to be underestimated, because this whole challenge of tenanted properties, landlords either not giving permission or indeed the lease not being long enough to justify the investment. These are quite big barriers that crop up quite regularly, aren't they?
They are, and obviously, if you're going to make that investment, and on a leased property, and all of the majority of the cost when we install infrastructure is kind of groundworks. Yeah. So if you're able to sort of bypass that cost, then kind of there's a real potential win-win. And obviously, I've been involved where landlord decisions are needed. Some of those legal costs can be quite hefty, and obviously very time consuming as well. And yeah. I guess, again, it just for me, it was being able to kind of see hands-on that idea come to life, where there is an opportunity to avoid all of that headache.
Yeah.
And just kind of like have your EV charging infrastructure rolled into site, or dropped off, and then sort of plugged in, and away you go.
A great interim solution, definitely. I must add that, I mean, I also hear fleets saying our landlord has stipulated that we've got to remove this infrastructure when we vacate the site. And I'm thinking, well, what does the landlord think the next fleet that moves in, or the next business that moves in, is going to be powering their vehicles with? It's a little bit short-sighted, but we will get there. Let's get back to the rally then. I mean, okay, this is good fun, right? You get paid to drive around the country in a lovely brand new BMW, seeing all these exciting projects. But it's perhaps not all plain sailing. Did you come across any challenges?
So, right, I'm gonna put sort of a caveat out there. So we did no planning at all, and realistically, that most might think that that's actually asking for trouble, but I think that was kind of part and parcel of what we're trying to achieve from the rally, is kind of learnings. So no planning, just kind of get to the checkpoints and kind of find our way around as best we can, and see what issues kind of we do come across. We actually didn't really face any major issues at all. I took part on the sort of trunk road Thursday, where there was no motorway driving allowed. And again, my expectation was that we're going to kind of come a little bit kind of unstuck here, but we charged at an Allego charger that day. It was the first time I'd ever used one of their chargers. We presented the OVO card, and it just worked. So, the learnings from my perspective is kind of, it is possible to kind of to sort of do that. But for me as an EV user and someone, who does do quite a bit of mileage, a little gripe that I've got is that the vehicle was always hitting a 75 kilowatt charging maximum rate. It didn't matter what brand of charger we kind of got to. It was always getting stuck at that 75 kilowatt. So it's fine when you're kind of having a lunch, but actually if I'm out and about and got to get from one meeting to the next and kind of expecting that I should be able to get the 150 kilowatt, I think it was, max out of the vehicle, and I'm only getting half of that, that can kind of over time get quite frustrating. Now, I don't know whether or not that was an issue with the charger, or because the BMW, the iX1 that we were driving didn't have battery preconditioning option in it. So there's potential sort of a few factors that could have been at play that kind of causes that. But I noted it last year when we did the EV rally, and have kind of come across that issue again this year. So it's kind of that most people, if they know that their vehicle can achieve a 150 kilowatt or 200 kilowatt charging rate, their expectation is going to be that is what they're likely to achieve most of the time. And finding that you're only getting half of that every time that you're charging on the public charging infrastructure, especially when you're paying the premium to be able to use that faster DC charger, it adds the costs, and actually it's potentially costing you also double the time that you're expecting to be able to charge the vehicle. So that frustration would probably get to me over time, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, I've experienced this myself. Definitely it comes up on the EV drivers forums fairly regularly.
Yeah.
I do wonder a little bit, because this is your expression, which I love. Was it Trunk Road Thursday? Yeah. So I'm part of me is thinking, okay, well, maybe the really high powered chargers are really going in onto the motorway infrastructure or just off the motorways, whereas it's a different type of traffic and it's a different type of driver maybe on the trunk roads. I don't know, but I think I share your frustration, and all I can really say is my experience actually of the rally, but also in day-to-day life, is you just build up a mental library of your favorite charge points, be that the convenience, the location, the reliability, the provider, that guaranteed, I know I'm going to hit that 175 kilowatt charging here, even if all the bays are full, and all of those things. Ideally you need an app that helps you build your own national network, doesn't it? And you can make notes, because I've also driven in somewhere before to charge, and then had that thinking, I've been here before, so it's a great observation, Rosario. And the kind of my last question is, why are events like the EV rally so important to accelerating the adoption of EV take-up?
So I actually had, from one of the posts that I put out on LinkedIn, I had someone kind of actually question. It looks like a nice jolly up, but kind of and self-promotion. But I kind of noted it sort of like previously. So from a Drax perspective, the EV rally really helps support our knowledge of the industry and advancements. And that's, advancements in technology, like we talked about the 3TI, kind of project, as well as the vehicles, public charging infrastructure as well. And that information and that knowledge really feeds into the conversations that we're having when we're speaking to our clients about real experience. So that, limited 75 kilowatt charger, when I'm talking to customers about their vehicles, it's, if you have the option of adding preconditioning to it, then it could be quite a good option to kind of add to the vehicle. So it just helps us really support our clients based on the knowledge that we're kind of building, and the EV Rally kind of is a great one for us to build our knowledge base. For me, the takeaway for me was really just all about the sheer variety of commercial vehicles that are now available.
Yeah.
All with different options to cover the vast majority of the fleet, fleet managers' needs. Really, I mean, all of those vehicles completed the. I know the EV Rally itself is 1,000 miles, but lots of those vehicles travelled all the way down to Cornwall from far away, locations, and then had to get themselves back there. So by the end of it, I think our vehicle had covered probably more closer to 1,500 miles if you factor in kind of all of that element to it, and they all completed it. The drivers all had smiles on their faces, and at the end checkpoint. So it's kind of the proof case that actually a lot of previous conversations with commercial fleet operators were, I can't find the right vehicle for me to make that leap. But I kind of feel that those excuses are now kind of finding a little bit of an end point, because, as I said, the sheer variety that the EV Rally kind of really was a bit of a proof that, most vehicles out there should be able to cover most requirements for fleet managers.
Particularly passenger cars, undoubtedly, yeah. And now it's just a question of, okay, make them better, make them cheaper.
Which is coming as well.
It is, but without compromising on the range and all the other great things as well. So,
yeah, absolutely. But just kind of, I guess, sort of like my kind of endpoint is really kind of the EV Rally sort of like highlight or allows the visibility of what's now available, and what these vehicles can actually achieve, along with sort of the improvements that there are to the public charging infrastructure. So yeah, from my perspective, it's kind of a vital event to the acceleration of EV adoption. And it's not only people like myself who do put stuff out on LinkedIn about kind of what we've managed to achieve, but all of the other people, the fleet managers that kind of took part and have kind of talked about it and sharing their learnings as well. And it's that kind of that industry piece of shared knowledge and collaboration that kind of is going to really help us get to the end point that we want, and that is to getting more fleets operating with electric vehicles.
Yeah, and there's absolutely no escaping the fact that this is a fabulous showcase for the vehicles and for the charging infrastructure. And what I absolutely love, Rosario, is that you didn't do any planning at all, which is, but so it's not fake, this is kind of a real world. If I'm using these in my business, I don't have to plan to the nth degree anymore, because the charging infrastructure has come on in absolute leaps and bounds in the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, but obviously, as well, the BMW iX1 had never driven it before, and neither had Tim, who was my co-driver. And so actually over the course of the few days that we were driving the vehicle, we were kind of trying to learn ways of driving a bit more efficient as well, and just trying to, learn about the vehicles, the different driving styles that you kind of need, and sort of braking distances and all of those sorts of things. So again, it is all a learning curve. Yes, from the outside, it might look like a jolly up, but actually, it's things like that do feed into the conversations that we have with our fleet clients, and kind of informing them of the ways and changes that their fleet drivers are going to need to make in order to truly make the most out of that transition and get optimal efficiency out of the vehicles.
Yeah. And I think you're absolutely right, because if you're learning and demonstrating how your driving style can literally shave 10 or 15% off your fuel efficiency, then that's a massive win for fleets as well.
Yeah.
Rosario, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I'm really rather rather jealous that you got to go on the rally. So well done to you, and of course thank you to Drax Solutions for participating in the rally, and also for joining us on GreenFleet Talks.
Thanks very much, Kate. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. That's about all I've got time for. Thank you for watching. Please tune into GFTV again soon.